I'd like to call our meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. and declare that we do have a board quorum present. The mission of Brazosport ISD is to graduate each student to be future ready. If you will please stand for our invocation, which will be led by Mr. Joe Reinhardt, and then our pledges of allegiance. Excuse me. I'll be led by this guy.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to come together to celebrate the great awards, great pleasures the kids have provided for themselves, their families, for our school district. We're very blessed to have the programs that we have here that allow kids to flourish even in ways that they didn't know that they could. We ask that you just bless this meeting tonight, the decisions we make, that they'll be in the glory and honor of you as we support all students that we have in our school district. We ask now that you just walk with us as we go home tonight, Lord. Be the light on our path. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. I'd like to ask our board to begin making its way to the front as we transition into our awards, achievements, and recognitions time. Once all of our recognitions are complete, then we'll move on with our
Good evening. It's my honor tonight to start our student recognitions. We'll start with the Great History Challenge. On February 24th, 4 students from Clute Intermediate joined students from all over the state of Texas at the regional Great History Challenge competition at Angleton Junior High. All 4 students from Clute Intermediate qualified for the national competition that will be held on May 23rd through 25th, 2025, at the Hilton Orlando in Orlando, Florida. Students had to compete in 3 rounds and 1 by-round of history questions ranging from ancient myths to modern history. The first to buzz in and answer correctly received a maximum of 10 points per round. The students with the highest number of points after all 4 rounds were invited to nationals. Those students are Decker Purple, Ramiro Manzanares, unable to join us tonight, Samuel Rivera and Brian Evanez.
Congratulations, sir.
We also have teacher and coach Nicholas Hine.
Oh my goodness. My SD card. Killing me. Alright, now I got it. Alright, certificates are up straight. 1, 2, 3. I'll get a couple. 1, 2, 3. Alright, anyone else is welcome.
Great job.
And now for a few more students with our Texas History Day student honors. Students in 2025 was Rights and Responsibilities. 36 students qualified for the regional meet in Sugar Land on February 22nd. 3 of our students placed first or second in that competition, making them eligible to compete at the state level. On Saturday, April 5th, students from around the state met at the Bullock State History Museum in Austin to showcase their knowledge and talent. The following students participated in the state competition. Mr. Brooke Adams, 5th grade, Rascal Middle School. His topic was Lincoln's Legacy. Miss Kayla Rodriguez Hernandez, 6th grade. Rascal Middle School with a topic in silence, Afghans' women's rights.
Congratulations.
Student, Miss Tia Tiarina, 6th grade. Rascal Middle School, topic, the Chicano movement. Would also like to welcome our teachers, Miss Alexi Burst, Mr. Jeffrey Perales, and Mrs. Erin Cobb. We appreciate the hard work and dedication of the students, the teachers, and support from parents in helping set the standards for educational excellence. We also want to thank our social studies coordinator, Angela McCabe, and our social studies specialist, Yami Sherrill, for being here this evening.
We need to skip this way a little bit, so that we're not left handed. Great. All right, take a couple. 1, 2, 3, and another. 1, 2, 3. Good job. Anyone else? Yeah.
Got one.
1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to welcome our Career and Technical Education Director, Mrs. Bridget Perkle, to the podium to continue our awards, recognition, and achievement.
Thank you, Mr. Cole, and our Board of Trustees, Superintendent Massey, and our wonderful community audience tonight. It's my pleasure to recognize our Career and Technical Education Award recipients tonight. Career and Technical Education Student Organizations, or CTSOs, as you may hear of them, give students a platform to apply what they learn in the classroom to real-world challenges, all while building leadership, teamwork, and career-ready skills. From business to health science, from agricultural to education, our BISD students are leading the way. Tonight, we want to celebrate our outstanding students as competitors and achievements, and their dedicated sponsors. And we will begin with our Business Professionals of America, or BPA. At the BPA State Leadership Conference in Dallas, 9 BIC students represented with excellence. Over 4,000 students competed, attended leadership sessions, and networked with professionals. Congratulations to these students. Angel Pena, who was first in Presentation Management Team, second in Small Business Management Team, and he is a Texas Executive Student Council. And Abigail Aricia, who is our only junior in the group, is the first to advance in Advanced Office Systems and Procedures and was also elected as Texas Associate Vice President.
Got your brother done somewhere first.
Come down, come down, done.
We gotta get Chris in the picture.
Right, okay. Can I see, I can't see these directions, so let me see if I can.
I'm good.
Tiptoe?
I'm good.
Okay, can you remember my list?
I have to?
Up there, yes. Good.
No problem. I see a list.
All right, thank you very much. 1, 2, 3, and again, 1, 2, 3. All right, I'll get off mine.
Yes, sir. You have a carpenter or electrician come for a day.
Thank y'all. Wait, before we just wait.
All right, our next CSO group is the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo competitors who competed in the International Craft Competition. This is a highly competitive project showcase. BISD's Tier 1 team earned Reserve Champion in Project Execution and Reserve Champion in Best of Show. Representing the team tonight is Tristan Thompson, Eleazar Rubio, Jackson Cobb, and Jorge Espinosa. And they are led by their project sponsor, Mr. Strobel.
About empty things.
1, 2, 3, and again, 1, 2, 3. There,
A special thanks to our CTE staff who's represented here tonight, Mr. Owen Dixon and Mr. Darren Humes. Thank you for your support. We are extremely proud of our BIC students who competed in BPA, TAFE, Skills USA, and the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Their hard work and achievements reflect the powers of hands-on learning and high-quality CTE instruction. This concludes our recognition for CTE Student Organization Competition.
Good evening, Superintendent Massey and School Board and our guests tonight. I am honored to recognize the principal, Ms. Jennifer Slater from OM Roberts. So if you would come forward, Ms. Julie Evans from West Brandon, and here tonight for representing Polk Elementary is Ms. Stacy Aruz. We are pleased to announce that OM Roberts, Brandon, and Polk Elementary, they have earned the recognition of ERP, Educational Results Partnership Honor Roll List. This list recognizes top public schools, school districts, and charter schools in Texas that have outperformed their peers in closing achievement gaps, particularly among higher poverty and historically disadvantaged student populations. This year, 63 school districts in Texas made the honor roll. This is approximately 9% of all eligible districts in the state. Results are based on data of student outcomes on the State of Texas Assessment of Academic Readiness, or the STAR, for the years 2022 through 2024. This effort is part of a national campaign to engage business leaders in recognizing successful schools and educational systems that are preparing students with the fundamental skills needed to be successful in the workforce and in life. The Honor Roll is the only school recognition program based solely on objective student achievement data. with the goal of finding and highlighting successful districts and encouraging collaboration among educators on best practices for raising student achievement. Again, congratulations to Owen Roberts, Beth Brannon, and Polk Elementary.
Appreciate all you do.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Great job. See you next week. Yeah, man. Congratulations. One of those, Sheila. One of them, Sheila. Sheila. One of us has a Holly Cap. Courtney Grill, with a smile on her face.
And this that right, yes. That'll be great. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, and again, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Right. Good evening. It's an honor to present our April Spotlight teachers. The purpose of the Educator Spotlight Award is to recognize outstanding teachers across our district. When I call your name, if you could come stand next to Mr. Massey. This month's Spotlight educators are Kristen Sinner Brown for our secondary Spotlight, and Erica Cray for our elementary Spotlight. Ms. Sinner Brown teaches U.S. History at Brazosport ISD Academy. Her campus shared that she exemplifies passion, dedication, and excellence in education. Her love for teaching history is evident in every lesson, and she brings the subject to life in a way that deeply engages and inspires her students. She builds meaningful trust and rapport with each student, creating a classroom environment rooted in respect and connection. She teaches with purpose every single day, making the most of every moment, dependable, caring, and guided by a strong sense of integrity. She sets high standards not only for her students, but for herself as well. She's truly a model educator and a vital part of their campus community. Miss Erica Cray is a 5th grade science teacher at Lanier Elementary. Her campus shared that she consistently goes above and beyond to make science meaningful and engaging for her students. Her passion for continuous learning is evident as she seeks opportunities to grow professionally and takes initiative in leading science professional development to support her colleagues. She's a positive force on campus, fostering strong relationships with her students and team members. In addition to her instructional leadership, Ms. Cray serves as a mentor through her work with Leos and Pearls, providing students with valuable opportunities to develop leadership skills and a heart for service. Thank you both for all you do.
Got one more.
Mr. Adams, if you'll join Mr. Massey. Mr. Massey, Board of Trustees, BIC community members, we are honored to present this Extra Mile Award to Justin and Catherine Adams Phillips for creating the Legacy Flag Football League for BISD 5th and 6th grade students. The Flag Football League had 6 weeks of games on Saturday mornings at Slade Field, and had 56 players participating last fall, and another 56 players participating this spring. 31 current Brazoswood football players serve as the coaches and referees, and student trainers volunteer their time to be available as well. Last fall, our students logged over 490 volunteer service hours for supporting this opportunity for our 5th and 6th grade students. The Legacy League mission statement. At Legacy League, our mission is to empower the next generation through the game of football, guided by the belief that every touchdown scored today is a step toward shaping the leaders of tomorrow. Our high school players volunteer their time to mentor, coach, and inspire young athletes. We are dedicated to nurturing teamwork, discipline, and sportsmanship in a positive environment where young players develop both on and off the field. By fostering this connection, we aim to create a lasting impact that extends beyond the game, preparing today's youth to become tomorrow's role models. Justin and Catherine, thank you for going the extra mile for our students.
House divided this weekend. Come on, Legacy League people. Come on, you're a player. You're in it too.
Yeah, Perkins here too, right?
Yeah, get Perkle in here. They're our MVP of snacks, all right? Right here. 1, 2, 3, and again, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Anybody else? Welcome. Did you get it?
Well done. Thank you.
We've got the 2 in this Legacy Bowl, so house divided this weekend.
What year is it? That it?
That does conclude all of our awards and recognitions for this evening. At this time, in accordance with ED Local Awards, we'll provide an audience with individuals who have signed up prior to the meeting to address the board. We do have 3 this evening. Mr. Atkins will serve as our timekeeper, and for those requesting to speak, please note that comments are limited to a maximum of 5 minutes per speaker, with a maximum of 30 minutes total allotted for public comment. Delegations of more than 5 shall appoint a representative to present their views to the board. The board will not entertain negative comments on individual personnel or students in public session. Patrons are encouraged to use appropriate campus and administration channels before bringing concerns to the attention of the board, and board members are not allowed to deliberate, discuss, or make decisions regarding any subject not included on the agenda posted. Tonight we have 3. Our first speaker, Mr. Rocky Thomas.
Good evening, Massey Board. First of all, I know a lot of you. I played ball with you, against you, worked with you, and I consider us friends, but you know the old saying, sometimes we gotta agree to disagree, so this is my opinion. I'm here to share my thoughts regarding the actions by the districts in reference to the Stephen F. Austin Elementary and the bonds before the voters of the district. Stephen F. Austin School is not the same as others since we are cut off from the surrounding areas. Our rural school allows our students to form long-term friendships, ride bikes in each other's houses, and play with neighborhood kids. The decision to close our school will result in destroying their childhood, and this falls squarely on your shoulders. Each child at Stephen F. Austin School is known by name, not only by their teacher, but other faculty and staff. Stephen F. Austin allows students to feel seen, safe, and valued. Ideally, this is something each child should experience, but lacking in larger, overly populated schools. One board member said that this closure would be advantage to the students because they would be offered more choices. He is speaking of secondary, not elementary, pre-K through grade 5 at basic subjects. Several years ago, BISD placed bonds before our citizens that were to be used to renovation or rebuilding of Stephen F. Austin. Our school has been neglected by BISD, and we approved in good faith for those bonds to be used as pledged. Jones Creek citizens were willing to do whatever actions necessary to help BISD. But we didn't ask for a new school. We were content to have ours updated, but were told this was not possible due to the floodplain and the need to build up too high. We later discovered BISD didn't research this in full and that the information was incorrect for the measurements needed to build up. It was, in fact, lower. So I believe we all remember that situation. Jones Creek offered other sites and were told they weren't usable, yet you neglected and paid a landowner approximately $55,000 for property for a new school site you did not use. I have this information on the list if anybody would like to see it later. The landowners behind our current school were willing to work with BISD to keep Stephen F. Austin where it is, but that offer was turned down. It now appears BISD has no intentions of doing anything for Stephen F. Austin, just took the opportunity to gain bond money. In a previous meeting, you spoke negatively about Representative Basu, but say what you will, he accomplished what BISD did not, in spite of his having less manpower. BISD had more than enough time and persons on the payroll to research a solution, yet chose not and took the easy way out. It was mentioned at one board meeting that the decision to close Stephen F. Austin was not personal, just business. That remark was offensive. You are not a corporation. You are a school board sworn to enhance the lives of the students you are responsible for serving. If nothing else, it should be personal. It certainly is personal to our community. In my opinion, BISD has not been responsible for budgeting money. It is excessive that our superintendent makes substantially minimum of 3 times more than the teachers and has multiple years in his contract. I have the salaries of all the superintendents if anybody would like to see those later. However, after the bonds were misrepresentative and up for misuse, he is telling us directly that we had 2 years to come up with a solution to keep Stephen F. Austin open, then go back on his word. I now regret my choice of leadership. If BISD is so far in debt, then you need to start doing business by cutting the fat from the top, getting rid of consultants, excessive administration positions, charge for transfers from outside the district, stop paying nonprofit, encouraging one religion, and quit cramming students into one facility like cattle. Quit spending funds on outdoor pools that can only be used possibly 5 months of the year. Perhaps just tell those entities and persons affected it's not personal, it's just business. The difference what we have built, spent, and continue to spend on Lake Jackson Clute schools instead of Jones Creek, Freeport, can be seen by evenly a visually challenged person. Yet you continue to pour money into these schools without regard to the cost and expect us to use bond money to obtain for our school to cover your overspending. We want and expect Stephen F. Austin to be renewed or rebuilt, perhaps a newspaper, instead of doing a piece only praising BISD, can do an actual investigative piece on the county of where all the money has gone and continues to go. Why does the freezer not work at Stephen F. Austin, and why is the food being trucked in? Where did you actually spend the money on renovation? Because just looking at Stephen F. Austin does not match what you have stated that you spend on repairs. This investigation would call for a non-biased journalism, which sadly also seems to disappear. I have always supported public school education, however, now I see why people are losing faith in our school system and voting for vouchers and choosing homeschooling. Had a BISD student lied about what they were doing or taking money, the consequence would have been quick and severe. Yet, this bond sits there, basically took the money that we voted yes for and are not using it as we were told it would be. You as a school board are supposed to lead by example. You have set a poor example for our students in honesty, truth, research, and problem solving. Trust and respect go hand in hand. They are hard to earn, but easy to lose. Due to your actions, I have lost faith in this board. I will not support and will not vote yes for the upcoming BISD bond. I will vote no. Thank you for your time, and like I said, if anybody has any questions on any of the information that I sent this evening, I have it right here. Thank you.
Mr. Tidwell?
Mine's not long. So, as you know, I guess we're losing our principal out there. We're losing a few teachers. A lot of these teachers and the principal have been there for 20-some years. And when they submit a resignation to y'all immediately send them a exit form to explain why they're leaving or whatever it is. Does any of y'all ever check on those exit forms to see what's on there? I doubt it. Because if you did, you'd see there's a lot of issues. These people have been there for years for BISD, but we're willing to just let them go. Don't go talk to them, try to say, hey, what's going on? How can we make it better? We don't do that. And it's a shame. The last several months, I've had the opportunity to talk to at least 2 teachers from every school for the Lighthouse. And every one of them, when they started talking to me, I didn't call them, they called me. Every one of them started out, I'd like to talk to you about this, but you can't use my name. If you use my name, they'll fire me. That's a shame that we can't talk. But it's true. Every one of them described problems in BISD, such as the ones that Rocky has just talked about, even more. I would love, there's several of y'all that were past educators, and you should feel something for some of these teachers and administrators that are leaving, but nothing is done, nothing is asked. It's a shame. I wasn't going to talk about that pool, but I can't tell you how many Lake Jackson residents, and I'm all for the pool. I'm all for Brazosport having a pool. I think that's a great thing. But that pool, even according to them, is a shut-me-up pool. They complain, they want a new pool, but they didn't get what they wanted or needed. They did the inside pool. like Brazosport has, like the rec center, like they used. But instead, we got a shut me up pool. We're gonna give you a pool, so shut up. That's basically what happened. $7.7 million for an outside pool. Think about that. What you could do with $7.7 million. So if you're gonna do it, why didn't we do it right? They said if we just maintained what we had, which we didn't, that's part of the problem with BISD. Don't shake your head, it's true, it's even in the paper. Even in the paper about that. You didn't maintain. When you got people coming out to the CF Austin that goes out there and says, hey, principal, what side do you want us to hydroblast for the summer? What is that? Why are we doing the whole school? It's a shame. I'll leave it with that. I wish y'all would talk to some of these teachers that are leaving, some administrators that are leaving. Hear what they got to say. Because they don't seem like, they don't think y'all care at all. Thank you.
Ms. Harsky?
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Mr. Massey. The last time I came here, I was full of gratitude, and I thanked you all for your decision to keep our school open. It was a decision that meant so much to us, to the kids, to the whole community. But I did also caution that the work was not done, and that we needed to be able to do more work. To save our school would require more than just keeping the doors open. It would require a real investment in the school's future. And it's with deep dismay that I come here tonight. Instead of building on that promise, I understand that even more cuts are happening. Cuts that threaten the very heart of our school. We're now facing the reality of operating with one person in the office, and I understand she also doubles as the nurse. We're losing several personnel, and the facility upgrades that have been promised to us multiple times are not happening. And these aren't just minor setbacks. These are huge setbacks. This is a critical blow to the ability of our school to attract more students. Once again, I feel that this is another example of the lack of support for the Freeport feeder stream. The inequity between Freeport and Lake Jackson is clear to everyone except y'all. I really need to ask, how do you intend to attract students and retain them when you continue taking away the resources and support of the students at Stephen F. Austin? How do you expect the school to grow and succeed when it's continually asked to do more with less? I personally don't think there's any intention to help us keep Stephen F. Austin open. And that, it's heartbreaking for me to have to say that. It almost makes me want to cry. At this point, I really feel that our students, our kids, are the ones that are paying the ultimate price. It's painful to see that their futures are being sacrificed to a system that appears unwilling to find any solutions to keep our schools open. We fought so hard for Stephen F. Austin because we believe in Stephen F. Austin and we believe in our students. And I am still ready to work alongside each and every one of you to find viable solutions to keep our school open. It's urgent now, and we need your help. Please, don't let us down again. Don't let us down with the empty promises that keep coming. We want our school to stay open. Help us. Just help us. We're willing to do the work, but we need you all to be willing to do the work as well. And believe in us. Thanks.
The next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. Are there any items at this time that are to be pulled from the consent agenda?
Motion to approve as presented.
All right, I have a motion, do I have a second? The motion by, Mr. Atkins, and seconded by Mr. Dunn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right, that carries. Thank you. The next item that we have on our agenda are our action items. Public comments will be allowed before a vote is taken on each of the action items. Our first action item is our instructional calendar for the 26-27 school years. Mr. Whitehead is going to have a presentation for us.
Thank you. Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy EB Legal, it's my pleasure to present the recommended 26-27 instructional calendar. As a reminder, we adopted the calendar for 25-26 along with the calendar for this year. So by adopting the calendar in April for the following year, we are providing parents, students, and staff with over a year's notice on the instructional calendar. We have reviewed the many factors to be considered when creating an instructional calendar as listed on this slide. In addition, the committee prioritized having staff start on Monday, no sooner than August 3rd, and students start no sooner than Wednesday during the week of August 12th. We also prioritized finishing the school year prior to Memorial Day. There was also an effort to place student holidays on Fridays when possible, and have at least 3 school days in a week during a week that have holidays. The development of the calendar began with input from cabinet, principal, and other district leaders. The ideas proposed were taken to the calendar committee meeting in February. The committee utilized that information to develop 2 different calendars. Among the committee members that were represented were from Freeport, Clute, Lake Jackson, as well as elementary, middle intermediate, and high schools. During the development process, these highly qualified professionals focused on the guiding question, what is the best calendar decision to support quality instruction, including the prioritization of addressing instructional needs and balanced semesters. After the calendar development committee narrowed the calendars to 2 drafts, Draft A and Draft B, the District Improvement Committee, or DEIC, reviewed the calendars and voted on which calendar best supported student learning and achievement. The DEIC is comprised of parents, community and business representatives, as well as campus and district staff. The final layer of approval at the campus level, where we have parent, community members, and business representatives from the campuses, the CEIC reviewed and voted on which draft calendar best supported student learning and achievement. Before I review the draft calendars for 26-27, I want to remind you that next year's calendar, 25-26, is shown here. As you will see, the major shift from next year's calendar, again, got to keep this straight, to the following year's calendar will be when Memorial Day falls. We typically find the perfect fit for the winter break to Memorial Day for our spring semester, but the 26-27 and also for 27-28, we are likely to finish the week before the Memorial Day weekend. Shown here is some general information about the 2 calendars. Before I dive into the calendars, I want to give you just the foundation for those 2 calendars. Calendar A is similar to our current calendar, very similar to our current calendar, and has 81 days in the fall and 87 days in the spring. Calendar A has an additional 3.4 days in reserve minutes beyond the required minimum, with both semesters ending in half days. Calendar B finishes a week later, but has a February break. Calendar B has 81 fall days and 88 spring days, as well as half days to end the semesters. Calendar B has an additional 4.4 days in reserves. I apologize, it's a little hard to see, but there's a lot going on in the calendar. This is Calendar A. It is almost exactly the same as the 25-26 calendar. The fall semester is 1 day earlier shift, where students start on the 12th of August, where next year they start on the 13th, and this year they started on the 14th. And yes, we will eventually need to move to the next week, but our fall semester is already shorter than the committee wanted, and so the committee wanted to keep this week as the start date. After that, everything flows in the same pattern all the way throughout the year. We've had positive feedback on our October break. Our winter break fits well in this similar calendar, and our spring break is in early March. Easter moves around as usual and will fall at the end of March during the 26-27 school year. Ultimately, we end the same week as before. However, as you can see, Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend isn't until the following weekend. Again, this is calendar A. Calendar B was created with the idea of keeping the end of instruction going up until Memorial Day. This would provide some options for holidays during the spring semester, particularly the month of February. This option was intended to provide some relief during the month of February when we often see some challenging behaviors. By placing the days in February, it would provide a February break similar to the October break, but would have students attending classes until the last week of May, aligning with the Memorial Day weekend. Again, this is calendar B. After discussion, the calendar committee voted on which calendar they felt best met the instructional needs of BISD students. The members had discussion with their respective campuses and ultimately voted draft A is what they preferred at 71.4%. So calendar A, or the finishes a week before Memorial Day, was the preferred calendar for the calendar committee. The District Improvement Committee, or DEIC, also voted on the calendar that they felt best met the instructional needs of BISD students. After discussion and consideration, the DEIC also voted calendar A as the preferred calendar at 57.1%. Several members had concerns for the long break in instruction during the month of February and its potential negative impact on instruction during this time of year. Additionally, they also had concerns for the end date being so late in May. Lastly, the Campus Improvement Committees, or CEICs, voted on which calendar they felt best met the needs of our students. After campus meetings and discussions, the CEIC also voted on calendar A as the preferred calendar at a rate of 80%. The consensus was that the break in instruction during the month of February could negatively impact students prior to state testing, and the late end in May was not more critical to instruction than the time in February. Before I make a recommendation, I do want to make a note that we are watching a couple of bills that are in the legislative session right now. House Bill 1209, which does have some language which would require 175 days in the calendar, and Senate Bill 2928, which does require that classes begin on the third Wednesday in August. Both those bills have not made it through. If they do pass, there's always the probability there will be an exception to the rule because we do have that under our DOI, but the DOI may not be used, so we're just going to wait and see. So there could be some need to revisit if the bills go through without any exceptions available. Just want to make you aware of that before we voted. In summary, there was a lot of healthy discussion and review, and ultimately all committees favored draft A. Therefore, it is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the instructional calendar draft A for the 26-27 school year as presented, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Any questions from the board?
So you're saying the legislature is trying to decide if they're going to re-decide what they decided before when they decided they wanted to go to House, and then,
Yes, sir, that is exactly what I'm saying.
That's what I thought you said.
Yes.
Just as a note of interest, the DOI District of Innovation,
Yes.
which we now are and have been for some time, and as a District of Innovation, we are, we follow our kids by the number of minutes, not necessarily the number of days that they come to school. So,
and start times.
Right, the current requirements are designated in minutes, and there's been a lot of creative schedules across the state by utilizing the minutes. And so now I think there's a revisit to add days constraints within the calendar. So right now, we're under the number of minutes.
And our CTE benefits from the minutes. Absolutely. You know, by expanding the time that they can spend doing the things.
Anti-local control.
Yeah, but
Sure.
having been in the classroom, I think it's a good idea that we're not having a spring or the February break. We're right on the cusp of testing, and we don't need kids not being around. We need them in the classroom. You go back and look in the springtime, Saturdays after school, there's all kind of testing, remediation and help going on. So that's draft A is by far the better choice.
I am curious once we really get there and we get this week off before Memorial Day, if that's gonna, what that's gonna be. So it'll be interesting to see. But if we follow the same ones and not do the February break, then yeah, Andre, it looks like the rest of it.
Any other comments? Questions from the board? From the audience about the calendar, 26, 27 calendar, before we take a vote? All right, hearing none, then we do have a recommendation from the administration that the board approve the instructional calendar draft A for the 26-27 school year as presented. Do I hear a motion? So moved by Mr. Reinhardt. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cuellar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. Thank you. Mr. Whitehead. Thank you. Carries. Next item that we have on our action items is the cancellation of the District 3 and District 4 trustee election. Encino.
Good evening, board members, Mr. Massey, and members of the public. Pursuant to Board Policy BBB, legal, I present for you your approval for the cancellation of the trustee election for District 3 and 4. The deadline of February 15, 2025 has passed for candidates to file an application for a place on the ballot. In accordance with Section 2.052 and 2.053 of the Texas Education Code, the Secretary of the Board of Trustees is required to certify in writing to the board that the following candidates for the May 3rd trustee election are unopposed for election to office. District 3, Mr. Kenneth Schulte, and District 4, Ms. Liz Cuellar. Upon receipt of the Secretary's certification, the board may by order declare these unopposed candidates elected to the office. Once this declaration is made, the May 3rd trustee elections for District 3 and 4 will be officially canceled. Although the elections for District 3 and 4 will be canceled, the names of the unopposed candidates, Kenneth Schulte and Liz Cuellar, will still appear on the ballot. However, no opponent will be listed. The May 3rd trustee election will still proceed for District 5. Administration recommends the board accept the certification of unopposed candidates for other political subdivisions, approve the order of cancellation, and declare the unopposed candidates for District 3 and 4 elected to office.
Cancel while it's already happened?
Is it too late to have a write-in?
It actually says it's too late for a write-in. It was the undervote. No, I should be undervote. Should have an other. Yeah.
No.
Move for approval.
No other.
So any comments before we take a vote? Are there any comments from the audience before we move forward with the vote about that?
No quick comments.
All right, hearing none, do we accept the recommendation as presented?
Move for approval.
Been moved by
You got
Scott,
several. I'll second it then.
seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. That carries. All right. consideration and possible approval of notifying TA of intent to change the fiscal year start date from September 1st to July 1st, effective July 1st, 2026. Ms. Campesino.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. At the last board meeting, a proposal was presented to change the district fiscal year start date to July 1st, as allowed under Education Code Section 44.011. The Financial Accountability System Resource Guide outlines the process for making this change. To support tax rate calculations, the budget and financial data will still cover a 12-month period from September 1 to August 31st, even though the fiscal year will run from September 1st to June 30th. This ensures accurate funding for operations and debt payments. For the fiscal year 25-26, the budget adoption will be based on 10 months of data, September 1 through June 30th. Additional 12-month financial data will be prepared for public reporting and tax rate decisions. The annual financial report will also be based on 10 months with a separate schedule showing full 12-month tax collections. Starting the 26-27 year, all financial reports will follow the new July 1st through June 30th fiscal year. After careful consideration and evaluation, the administration recommends adjusting the start date of our fiscal year from September 1 to July 1, effective July 1st, 2026. Several key factors influence this recommendation. First, the transition would result in a one-time increase in our fund balance of approximately $5 million. This is because we would operate on a shortened 10-month cycle during the year of transition rather than the typical 12 months. The change in fiscal year will not have an effect on staff pay. Second, this change would provide direct benefits to our campuses. By starting the fiscal year earlier, campuses would have the ability to purchase much-needed materials and supplies sooner rather than waiting until September 1 when the new budget traditionally becomes available. This would support a smoother start to the academic year and better meet the needs of our students and staff. Another significant advantage is improved alignment with our governmental agencies. Many federal grants operate on a cycle that begins on July 1. Aligning our fiscal year with theirs would simplify grant management, reporting, and compliance processes, resulting in greater efficiency and consistency. There are some disadvantages to consider. The budget adoption timeline would be accelerated, requiring adoption by June 30 instead of August. Additionally, the business office would need to adjust its planning as certified property values estimates are typically received in July, after the budget would have been already adopted. This could make finalizing budget projections more challenging. The district would still have the ability to amend the budget before the Payne's Fall submission deadline. It is important to note that the budget submitted to the Texas Education Agency becomes the district's official budget. Based on these factors, the administration recommends moving forward with notifying the Texas Education Agency of our intent to change the fiscal year start date to July 1, beginning with the 2027 fiscal year. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Did they tell us no?
I've already reached out to them, and the feedback was that so long as the board approves the change, they'll approve the change.
We can't do it prior to 2027?
It would not be beneficial if we moved it to this year, because the year that we want to shorten 10 months is the 25-26 year.
Okay, cool. How many districts do we know use July?
A little under 300. But more are moving into a July 1st start date.
Clearly, from a spending standpoint, it makes sense. What time?
For teachers, it makes sense, because they can get the resources they need when it's time to be there.
Well, as long as we don't
spread
run out of budget.
We spread teacher pay across 12 months anyway, so that's
Correct.
not an issue there.
Correct. The savings would come from not expensing the July and August expenses, utilities and other payroll costs.
Yeah. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience before we take a vote? All right, hearing none, from the administration. Do I hear a motion?
I move for approval as presented.
Moved by Mr. Swartner as presented. Do I hear a second? Mr. Dunn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right, that passes as well. Thank you. Next item that we have on our action items is the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee related action items. Ms. Cancino, very popular.
Thank you. Section CH outlines our district responsibilities around purchasing and procurement, ensuring we follow the law and act transparently with public funds. To support this, the board approved the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, a group that ensures bond funds are spent as voters intended, evaluates any proposed changes to projects, and keeps the board informed. Together, this policy and committee help us meet our goal of fiscal responsibility, strengthening trust with our community, and ensuring resources are used wisely. The Citizens Bond Oversight Committee held its most recent meeting on April 16, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Administration Building. During the meeting, the committee reviewed one action item, which was discussed in detail to ensure alignment with the voter-approved bond scope. The committee also reviewed reallocation of funds. For the 2014 bond, this included an addition of $269,933 to major maintenance accounts, offset by reductions in contingency, CT program improvements, print shop maintenance equipment, and technology equipment totaling the same amount. For the 2019 bond, changes included the addition of $1,283,031 in federal revenue to support an E-rate black fiber project. This is a reimbursement of the expense for the same project. Adjustments also included increases to the Brazosport Fieldhouse CTE athletic accounts and the Brazoswood Pool, alongside decreases to the Brazosport Priority 1 improvements and contingency accounts. In addition to these changes, members received updates on the status of current projects, including timelines, progress, and any related changes. This ongoing review process highlights the committee's continued commitment to transparency and accountability in managing bond funds. This recommendation was approved by CBOC. These reallocations have been carefully reviewed to ensure that they align with the district's priorities, support the completion of ongoing projects, and address the most critical needs across our campuses and facilities. At this time, we respectfully request the board approval of the proposed 2014-2019 bond reallocation as presented.
Any questions?
Was the Beatport CTE, I thought we moved that previously. Was this additional?
In the previous meeting, we did not have enough members to take action on the item, and that's why we're bringing it back.
Okay. I thought that we moved some of that money already to take care of that.
Any other questions from the audience? All right, we have a recommendation from the administration to approve the CBOC recommendation to move the 2014 and 2019 bond money as presented. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion.
It's been moved by Mr. Dunn, it's been seconded by Mr. Schulte. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. That passes as well. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Next item that we have on our action items is the guaranteed maximum price for the Rasco Middle Stacking Lane project. Mr. Berger?
Mr. Berger, it's a pleasure to see you.
Nice to see you.
Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy CB Legal, it is my pleasure to present the guaranteed maximum price for Rasco Middle School Stacking Lane project. Some background information. Section 44.038 of the Texas Education Code and Section CBE of the Board of Trustees policies describe the method and procedure school districts must use when entering a contract for construction manager at risk in connection with the construction of a facility. Section 44.038 states, a school district may use the construction manager method for the construction, rehabilitation, alteration, or repair of a facility. And this is in alignment with district goal. Brazosport ISD will exercise fiscal responsibility to ensure financial strength and provide the resources to equip, maintain quality facilities and educational programming. Administrative considerations. So current issues. I don't think it's a big secret that traffic has been an issue at Brasco for quite some time. That resulted in a traffic study and subsequent identification as a Priority 1 project as part of the 2019 bond. The district's construction manager at risk, Stewart Builders, has publicly advertised and received bids on April 9th of 2025. The district's construction manager at risk, Stewart Builders, has provided a guaranteed maximum price for the project of $1,162,194. Funds were included in the voter-approved 2019 bond, as discussed earlier, and should this be approved, construction would be completed in August of 2025. So I don't know if this little laser dot works on here or not, but you can kind of see this comes off of Lake Road, loops around, and then, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Is there any specific questions about what's going on?
Are we gonna have a new drop-off on the, I guess that's the north, I guess that's north side?
No, the bottom end of the campus, it'll be the same drop-off as before, and pickup.
There looks like there's an overhang being built. Is that just what is the T, upside down T? Top, on the north side.
No, that's an error in the overlay. That's not
okay.
supposed to be there.
So they're gonna drop off by the gym and drop off still in the front? Or is the front gonna be the bus area?
Buses will be in the front, parents will be at the end where that gray line narrows down on the bottom center of the image there in the staff parking lot. They'll go from double stacking to single stacking.
Yeah, it's a long, as you can see, it's a lot of stacking there if they'll use it, that will get them off the street, yeah, and, that is the soccer fields, as you know, and so there has been communication with, City of Lake Jackson about that. From what I understand, those soccer fields there are more practice area than the farther back there, and so they have, been made aware of that, and, we're involved in that, and the, rec center director is also aware of that.
Are we moving fencing for this? That's fenced off in the back too, right?
Yeah.
We'll be adding motorized gates on both ends of the stacking lane, so the fencing will remain secure, we're just adding gates.
And all the buses will fit in the front.
Yes.
You just don't want a big cop parked there and needing to get out.
Well,
We own all that land, correct?
currently, students are picked up in the front or on the side? Yeah, other than the rec center, minus the rec center.
But they're supposed to be picked up there where the drop off is.
Right now, they get picked up all around the property.
Yeah,
it's chaos.
Scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
So is there's turning lane coming from the north, right? Into the stacking lanes. On the other side, on the soccer field side, right? They'll be able to turn in without backing up too much?
We're still kind of ironing out that intersection.
Okay.
I don't have a real good way of explaining it, but, the city is involved in those conversations.
That's the best we can hope for, because I don't think a lot of people are coming this way, going to turn into the stacking lane. They're mostly coming from the other way, I would guess. But yeah, I went to the post office the other day, and I told Dana, I looked around, I saw all these cars backed in, I thought they were doing a robbery. Back in, get the kids, and then just take off. It's like, gee, I never seen so many people at that post office. And there was nobody inside.
Don't we own that land?
The only concern I have is kind of like what we have at, Madge Griffith, the teachers walking through the stacking lane to get to the building. There's way more teachers at Brasco. So it's a challenge, but.
It's not what we hear, don't they?
Yes.
Hopefully, the teachers will be there before and be there after, so it should be minimal.
Yeah.
Except for the people that start lining up at 12:30.
Right.
Yeah.
It
But that is a long, long stacking lane.
It is
It's
a long
more than
stacking
enough for what that population holds right now.
So this is bigger than that looks, right?
I'd have to verify.
I think it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Circles. But
Look how big it is.
It would be ideal if you could get everybody coming in one way and out one way, because we have lights going both directions, right? So we could force them out to the pound and back up to Medical Drive, or come in Medical Drive and back out towards Lake Road. I mean, if you could get them all going one direction with a stacking lane, that would be an ideal, but I know that's gonna be, to your point of the intersection there, but.
The bad part about Cannon Lane too, you'd have to build another 300 yards.
I mean, I guess technically, since we have two lanes, you could do a right turn coming from the south, or coming from the, I'll just call it the pound, rec center, coming from the rec center, you could go into the first lane. If you're coming from the north side, you're going in the right lane, you could put cones and force people in through the.
Yeah, the city wanted it to be right turn only, which means everybody has to come down and circle back unless they're turning right from the adjacent street.
Yep.
But we want to see how it works, and then we'll use crossing guards or however.
I mean, ideally, you'd come out of the stacking lane and go left, force everybody left, right?
Yeah.
And go south, and then come out Medical.
I mean entering right only,
Yeah.
and then yes, exiting.
And then force everybody to come from Lake Road, right?
Yeah.
And I guess the
Or not
buses
Lake Road,
will
whatever
be
that is.
going north,
Oak Drive.
most likely, coming out, and maybe, I don't know.
After that,
Yeah, it's,
Again, we'll work through, but I mean,
it's
yeah.
it's a half dozen, 1 6
So-
the other, yeah.
So for the schools that we've, and I have not gone at closing of schools on a regular basis, but out of the schools, we've built these stack lines. Of course, elementary is a different bird because those kids, we control really how they move very well. But at an intermediate school, I mean, my kids went there and we picked them up at every place imaginable over there at one point over 2 years. And so, if you can get them all to stay, and the school can manage that, and get them all to stay in that gym until they're picked up, then this will work, but that's a long line for parents not to use it.
Now, what we've experienced with the new stacking lanes at the secondary schools and the elementary schools is, yeah, there's still a lot of parents that don't comply and just do what, they'll just stop and drop their kid off in the middle of the road. We deal with that right here. The guy that was out there doing the traffic engineering made some real comments about, he couldn't believe it, parents were so non-compliant about that. But so what we've seen at the other campuses that have the large stacking lanes, we still get parents that don't comply and don't get in and don't follow the rules, but it still has gotten more traffic off the streets than what was before. And so, yeah, they're still on this, whatever rules are decided, there'll still be parents that won't comply, but it will be better than what it is now as far as the traffic on the streets.
Yeah, Food Intermediate is better than it was, but they still pick up at Sylvia's
Yeah.
and Church Parking Lot,
Yeah.
and even the post office.
Yeah, yeah,
So far away.
yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, same at all of them. Yeah, and Brandon, they still go to the neighborhood. It's not as bad as it was before we had the stacking lane.
I think Odd's a little better, actually.
Yeah, yeah. August
I'll
better.
take it.
Yeah,
Roberts is 10 times better.
yeah,
Yep.
It would be nice if we had a second drop-off point on that long stacking lane, but
yeah.
That was requested, but it was almost impossible to work. And that opinion was most strongly given from the traffic engineer.
yeah. Yeah, an inside drop-off and an outside drop-off kind of a lane.
All right.
Okay.
With that said, the administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the guaranteed maximum price of $1,162,194 from Stewart Builders for the Rasco Middle School Stacking Lane project.
All right, questions from the audience before we vote?
Tommy Ward won't have anything to do with this one. See, not let Tommy Ward over.
If you wanted to.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Good. We got it.
Okay, good.
And I did want to recognize that we have a couple representatives from Stewart Builders here this evening and thank them for their work on this and for taking time to be here.
We thank you all very much.
I also thank you for all the previous work that's been great.
appreciate the opportunity.
Keep up the great work.
I coached the boys, so it's, I understand.
Yep. He speaks of you very highly.
Yeah, I bet he does.
Yeah. He rubs his back pocket every time he does.
Yeah.
He just made a touch this time for that battle.
I can't imagine he deserved it.
Do I hear a motion?
I will make the motion to approve the
I'll second it.
recommendation of guaranteed maximum price.
All right, it has been moved by Mr. Atkins to accept the recommendation as presented and seconded by Joe. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right, that carries as well. Thank you, Mr. Muncy.
When will they start, Monty? Wait till school's out, or will they do anything before school's out?
School's out.
Yeah.
It's in August. They'll start mobilizing here.
Late in August.
School's
Sure
out.
they're gonna jump over.
Thank y'all.
All right, next item that we have on our
Thank you
agenda
guys for being here.
are our reports. Public comment will be allowed on each report. Our first report is the 2026 budget planning update and guiding principle survey results. Ms. Cancino, our Chief Financial Officer.
In today's budget report, I will be presenting the updated budget figures for the current fiscal year. I will also provide a brief overview of recent legislative changes related to school finance, an update on the development of the 2025-26 budget, and the results of the budget development survey. This presentation is part of our ongoing effort to maintain transparency and fiscal responsibility in alignment with the district's goal that Brazosport ISD will exercise fiscal responsibility to ensure financial strength and secure the resources needed to equip and maintain quality facilities and educational programming. The 2025 budget update information remains unchanged from the previous presentation. The 2025 budget was adopted with an 11.7 million deficit. At the time, we had projected Chapter 313 revenues at 6 million. However, actual payments are now expected to be approximately 12.5 million, exceeding our expectations.
12.5? What you said?
Yes.
Holy moly.
The budget assumed an average daily attendance, or ADA, of 10,086, and we are currently approximately 10,016, just slightly below target. While special education mainstream ADA is somewhat lower than projected, other special education services are outperforming expectations, resulting in an additional 1 million in revenue. For state compensatory education, we had budgeted for 7,601 students, but the actual count currently stands at 6,287, creating a 2 million shortfall. However, we are actively working with the Texas Education Agency to update our state comp student numbers and are cautiously optimistic that the 2 million shortfall will be reduced. Despite these variances, we anticipate ending the year with a fund balance of 38.2 million, 77,000 above our target of 38.1 million. Although we have experienced some shortfalls in ADA and SE counts, the overall budget is performing better than expected, with a projected deficit of 5.6 million, an improvement of 6.1 million compared to the original forecast. The 89th legislative session is underway, bringing several key updates to school funding. House Bill 2, recently passed by the House, proposes raising the basic allotment from $6,160 to $6,555. The first increase since 2019. New state aid is also proposed for first-tier coastal districts, helping offset higher property and casualty insurance costs compared to the statewide average. In addition, House Bill 2 updates the compensatory education, bilingual education, special education, dyslexia, and the teacher incentive allotments, and create a new fine arts allotment. Preliminary projection estimates these changes could result in approximately 6.9 million in additional state aid for our district. Next is an update on the progress of the 2026 budget reductions. We are actively reviewing and analyzing potential reductions across the district. The evaluation of the high school master schedule focused on identifying possible staffing efficiencies has been completed. Campus and department staffing meetings have also concluded, with staffing adjustments made based on student enrollment, course selection, and district staffing formulas. In addition, we are conducting a comprehensive review of department budgets to uncover further opportunities for savings. At the same time, we are carefully assessing the potential impact of staff compensation increases, which could result in additional costs. To date, nearly $9.7 million in expenditure reductions have been identified. The largest decrease stems from the change in the fiscal year, which results in a one-time savings of approximately $5 million. This table outlines two budget scenarios, one under the current funding formula and the other under the provisions of House Bill 2. Scenario 1 follows the current funding formula where the basic allotment is set at $6,160. Under this scenario, total available revenues amount to $118 million, while expenditures total $130.6 million, resulting in a projected deficit of $12.6 million before any budget reductions. After factoring in the potential $9.7 million in budget cuts, the revised projected deficit would decrease to $2.9 million. Scenario 2 is based on the changes proposed in House Bill 2, where the basic allotment is increased to $6,555. This adjustment raises total available revenue to $123.6 million, but with the same expenditures of $130.6 million, leading to a projected deficit of $7 million before any reductions. After applying the $9.7 million in budget cuts, the scenario results in a $2.6 million surplus. Both scenarios assume that this year's one-time stipend will be rolled into next year's budget as a pay increase, resulting in roughly a 3% pay increase. This table compares the budget scenarios presented at last month's board meeting with the current projected figures. The columns with green headers show the updated projections reflecting the increase in the basic allotment, allowing you to compare the previous data with the latest information. As part of our budget process, a budget development survey was conducted over a 2-week period to ensure ample time for participation. The survey included 7 targeted questions designed to gather insight into staff priorities regarding resource allocation within our budget. We received 444 responses from staff members across various departments. These responses provide valuable insight that will help us allocate resources more effectively to meet the needs of both our district and our employees. For our first question, we asked staff to rank various budget categories in terms of importance. Out of 444 respondents, 296 staff members, over 2/3 of the total respondents chose staff pay rates as the most important budget priority. For our second question, we asked staff to prioritize which resources they would choose to preserve if resources were limited. A total of 178 respondents, or 40.1% of those who answered, chose classroom aids or support as a resource to preserve. For the third question, we asked staff to describe their approach to budget decisions. A significant 57% of respondents, or 253 individuals, stated that they prioritize staff retention and morale when making budget decisions. For our next question, we asked staff what concerns them most about potential future budget cuts. The top concern chosen by 47.7% of respondents was the inability to meet student needs. A close second, with 43.9% of responses, was the fear of job security. For the next question, we asked staff how they would prefer to receive budget updates. A resounding 89.4% of respondents selected email newsletter as their preferred method of communication. For the next question, we asked staff how willing they would be to participate in a working group to brainstorm creative budget solutions. The responses were quite varied. 32.2% of respondents said they might be willing to participate depending on timing, while 25.2% indicated that they would not be interested in joining a working group. As we continue to work through these adjustments, we'll be sure to keep you updated with the latest information. Here's the budget planning calendar for the next step so you can see the timeline for what's coming up. The next budget update will be on May 19th, during which we will also present the compensation plan. And that concludes the updates for today. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for Ms. Cancino? All right, hearing none, thank you, ma'am. Next item that we have on our report, under our report, is the preliminary employee compensation plan. Ms. Jennifer Neighbors.
All right, good evening. Tonight I'll be providing a preliminary update on our TASB pay study. In February, the district began its TASB-led comprehensive pay review. TASB is currently conducting a market analysis for all pay grades and has shared some preliminary data on the teacher pay schedule with 3 pay increase models. Meanwhile, the legislative session is still underway, and we remain optimistic about the potential increase for funding for our district. The project kicked off in February, where myself and Ms. Cancino met with TASB. During the month of March, TASB started the review of our submitted data and selecting markets for comparison. The market analysis, we're currently in the market analysis phase of the project, but TASB did provide the preliminary teacher model so we could begin reporting and planning for compensation scenarios. The rest of the project will consist of building and aligning pay structures, calculating general pay increase models, and calculating pay adjustments. This will be done for all pay groups. We just have the teacher models ready to review. The full draft market analysis will be available in May. We'll review for any adjustments and then receive the final report, and we'll report soon after that the recommendations for updated compensation planning and the employee data. Our market comparisons include districts that are in our region and all within commutable distance from and to Brazosport ISD. 2 other non-school sources were also used, Comp Analyst and Pay Factors, for market data to ensure we're staying competitive in all pay groups. Here you'll see our teacher demographics for years of experience. Our teachers and librarians of Brazosport ISD have an average teaching experience of 12.1 years, which is actually above the state average of 11 years. And then when analyzing the experience of our newly hired teachers and related instructional staff, 52% of Brazosport ISD's 56 newly hired teachers have 5 or fewer years of experience. This is very typical. We showed a 7.1% teacher turnover rate from last year, which is actually considered very stable. Here we have our current market comparisons for Brazosport ISD. While the chart shows we're below market, our surveyed areas are all 97 to 98% of the local market median. There will be an increased market shift. TASB reported that all of their scheduled projects are requesting scenarios of 4 to 6% increase models. A couple of things on this chart not taken into account in these comparisons is the 3% one-time payment that was paid out on our first check of the 24-25 assignment year, and that we are one of the first TIA payout districts in the area. Dickinson ISD is the closest one to us. They are in the same cohort, and we are out preparing to pay out an approximate generated $1.8 million to our designated teachers in August, funded through TEA. Another area we do review but is not taken into consideration for salary schedule is our competitive stipends. We continue to stay at a competitive rate in all of the areas of our stipends. These are just a few of our academic stipends. The following models that we're going to review tonight are 3 preliminary models of possible teacher pay increases. The first preliminary model shows a 3% increase to the teacher salary structure. The orange line represents the current BISD teacher hiring schedule. The blue line is the current market median, and the green line for this chart is a reflection of our teachers' current salaries with the 3% one-time payment raise included. The green line also models what the teacher salary schedule would look like with that 3% increase. This would be an approximately $2,000 pay schedule increase for all teachers with slight adjustments at years 2 through 5, 23 through 25, and 28 through 31. The estimated cost would be $1.6 million, which is considered about 3% budget impact. But since we factored in the one-time payment increase into the budget, it would be a net impact of $0. Our next preliminary model shows a 5% increase. This would be approximately $33.50. For all teachers with slight adjustments at years 2 through 5 to improve pay differences between years of experience, 13 through 15, and 18 through 31 years to improve market comparisons where we're currently lowest to market. The estimated cost is about $2.8 million, which is considered a 5.5% budget impact. But since we factored in the one-time payment increase into the budget, it is a net impact of about $1 million. This is a market competitive model and brings teacher pay to 2% above market at all surveyed years. The market is going to move, so we do need to aim above. Our third and most competitive preliminary model shows a 6% increase. This would be approximately $4,000 for all teachers, with slight adjustments at years 2 through 5 to improve pay difference between years of experience, and then 13 through 15 and 18 through 31 years to improve market comparisons where we're currently lowest to market. The estimated cost is $3.3 million, which is considered a 6.5 budget impact. But since we factored the one-time payment increase into the budget, it is a net impact of about $1.5 million. This is a market competitive model and brings teacher pay to 2 to 4% above market at all surveyed years. The market's going to move, so again, this would be aiming above. So this is a breakdown of the total of what the 24-25 one-time 3% of midpoint cost. This was included in our budget planning. The cost of this increase was about $3 million. The estimated cost of each model is listed here that we just reviewed. Even though the one-time payment raise was not factored into the teacher salary schedule, it was included for budget planning, therefore making the net cost for the district lower. We're rolling the 3% one-time raise and adding to it, reducing the net impact of cost, making the pay increase more affordable for the district. The information presented this evening is for report only. We're aware we're in the middle of a legislative session. While House Bill 2 seems popular, the Senate will have their own ideas. TASB is prepared to help adjust and review compensation models to ensure we're in compliance with possible requirements on how any additional funding must be spent. If House Bill 2 passes, the models presented tonight are all in compliance with any of the potential financial runs we have received. TASB is prepared to rerun for compliance, but for now, we meet the requirements in the models.
Questions?
District peers, is that the same as last year?
Yes, I believe so.
There's not one missing? 12?
No, there's 12.
Okay, I mean, there was 12. Okay. Is that what we had last year?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
And then the market areas, did we do that last year? Or just?
The market areas.
Yeah, the two.
Comp analysis.
Yeah, the
Oh,
analysis.
yes, they always
Okay.
use outside of education.
I just don't remember
the models they're asking for. So from,
Who is asking?
so different school districts partner with TASB, and they complete the pay studies. And so,
That's what they're asking.
that's
This
what
is
they're
year
asking.
14 for me, and I have never seen anything above a 3. So if you're saying 4 to 6, I'd have to ask who is asking.
I did try to get that information.
As we understand that enrollment is down across the state and districts are closing schools for lack of kids, that seems
But if you are staffing
strange.
for your student enrollment and not overstaffing, that frees up more money to pay your
Make
teachers.
that sound good. You should be a
Well, hey, we've done a lot of work working on student enrollment and staffing this year.
Oh, I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying that shocked me. 4 to 6%.
You can, if I might add, also there is a requirement when the basic allotment goes up, a certain percent has to go into pay increases. It's 40, yeah, it's 40%.
40% down.
Yeah.
Well,
And how, the way House Bill 2 is written right now, the 40% has to go, for staff pay increases, but 75% of that 40% has to go to teachers and counselors.
Okay.
Well, we benefit too from the 3% one-time payment last year.
Yes, absolutely.
So, we are changing our, for example, we're changing our salary schedule by 5%, but 3% has already been done there.
It's already been paid?
Yes,
That's their pay this year.
yes,
So to give a 2% raise is really a 5% raise.
Yes.
'Cause it's a
Originally,
one-time.
we weren't planning to roll that 3% of that one-time
To
payment.
next year's budget.
I may get my resume,
But we did.
open up.
Yeah, I'm totally confused.
so you can get a reference.
I feel like I'm pretty good at math. So, first question I have.
Yep.
In every other year we've been doing this,
Mhm.
1% raise equaled about $1 million.
Yeah.
Now we're saying 5% raise is equal to 2.8 million?
It's only
No.
teachers, it's not all staff.
Okay,
So this only includes teachers.
okay.
That's the
Yeah.
big difference. So it is about 1% equals about $1 million. So the part about room.
For the whole,
For the whole district,
District.
right, but this is only for teachers.
but only for
So it's
teachers,
gonna be under
it's
that,
equal
yes.
to, 3% is equal to 1.6 for just teachers?
With,
That's the
3%, we go to that next slide.
But I'm not sure where's the
Preliminary teacher model, yeah. So, just teachers, 3% is equal to 1.6 million?
Yes. But if you look here, this last year for that 3%, because it was 3% midpoint, it cost 1.8 million for teachers. While yes, we would be
Go ahead.
analyzing this for less staff, this also included the, step. They didn't just get their 3%, they also got the step adjustment, because we didn't change the salary schedule.
So when did we pay this 3%? Are they getting it right now on their current check?
It was in their first check of
It was
September.
That's right, it was a one-time payment.
Right.
Okay.
so when we look at the budget, presentation right before, the total expenditure amount, 130 million includes includes this one-time payment.
For next year.
Correct.
We're assuming that as an
Correct.
increase of
Yep.
a
Correct.
raise.
Yes.
So we're assuming the 3% again, one
Yeah.
time
For
payment.
next year's
Yeah.
payment.
Yeah.
Correct.
That was in the budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
For
So
next
we-
year,
for
proposed
the-
budget.
Proposed budget.
Correct.
Proposed budget, yeah.
Proposed
That's
budget.
the-
Shouldn't we pull that out and just look at the raise? I mean, that's extremely confusing.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be
Can you
done
go
that
to the
way on
next
the new
slide?
salary
Right.
compensation plan.
Yeah, so,
It'll be listed that
I mean,
way.
yes.
yeah.
It would be the first row, or the second, the one with the cost.
Yeah.
That would be without rolling it. Without including the one-time.
But the total cost that we would pay would be the first number, the 2.8 or 3.2.
Yes, but we budgeted for or half of it, I guess.
Oh. So that's,
Well, at 6%.
okay, is this the first time that we've budgeted a one-time one-time pay for in the budget?
Well,
In the budget, yes.
typically.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because sometimes we'll do a budget increase, sometimes we'll just do one-time pay.
Right.
And a lot of the one-time pay was with ESSER previously too.
Right.
So that,
I think we have some terminology that I think I wanna clear up. When we are saying we budgeted, I don't think we should use that in past tense. I think we should use that in present
Right.
tense. We have budgeted for this one time that was a 2025 expense into next year's 25-26 expense, or 24-25 into 25-26. So in your modeling that you're presenting to us over the last couple of months, you've assumed that that would get paid out as a raise from this year, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so nothing's happened from a
No.
payment or from
No.
a
Nope.
true budgeting standpoint. We have just taken a one-time payment and converted it into salary from a budgeting standpoint for presentation purposes for the upcoming budget that we'll present in August.
Correct, yes.
Okay, okay.
yeah.
I'm on board now.
That makes, okay.
So that's-
But since we didn't add that into the teacher's actual hiring schedule, their month-to-month
that's why the
for
three line.
their salary will be, yes, that they will already have the 3%, but the actual schedule would receive, if we did 6%, a 6% raise in the hiring schedule.
Because we're gonna give them 3% that we've already given them, or proposed to give them.
If we
If-
give them,
yes, if we did
if-
that
if
amount.
we give them 3% raise, it's really gonna be cost
6%.
6%.
Correct.
Yeah,
No, I get that. I understand that piece.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's just that we've never budgeted a 3% one-time payment previously.
Right.
So that's what's
Right.
confusing me.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
right.
and the fact that it's
That's correct.
$1.5 million less than what we've typically done in
Yeah.
every other deal, because we're not including.
Right.
Yeah, this is just teacher model. Yeah.
So, are we coming back with a presentation for a non-teacher model?
Yes,
Later?
we'll have the full presentation with all pay groups in May, and then we'll present, different GPI
Did
models
we,
for all
did
groups.
we move the 3% for non-teachers into next year's budget? Is that included in the 130?
It is included as part of an expenditure, yes.
Okay, already in the 130.
So.
Yes. Because
So-
it's,
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
okay, so when you look at that table, in your presentation, you'll see that the rolling of the expenses from current year to next year remains the same, and that includes the one-time stipend for everybody. It's included in that amount.
So right now, our starting point is for 6% is 3.2 million, only to go up when we include everybody else. Wow, okay. Okay.
The 3%, the 3.3 is already in, well, no, I think.
It would be the 1.5.
I apologize. 1.5 is
It would
already
be
in.
the 1.5.
Yeah, that's the increased compensation. Yeah, the 3%, just the straight 3% will keep paid the same as what it was this year.
Yeah.
Since it was just a 3% one time.
Except the schedule would change to
Yeah.
match.
So are we, will they see step increases for
Yeah.
that full 6?
That's my big deal.
So, did we give steps on the 3% for last year?
This last year we did, because we
For the
didn't
one time?
change
Yeah.
they moved up their year, we didn't change the schedule.
That's something that needs to stay in there, the steps.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, we all know that the blue line is gonna catch up with the green line in that system.
Absolutely.
Always happens.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how much.
Something like the Houston Metro line.
And that's the one you were talking about,
Assuming that
you
we'll
expect the
increase
blue
it.
line to move up 4 to
The
6%.
blue line will give us,
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah,
And
that's
it's
a
normally above
great
it
raise.
anyway.
Yeah, or it would,
so maybe for a little while we can
Yeah.
move up it.
Yeah, like I said,
Just a
this
report.
is, yeah,
We
this
have
is
more
April, yeah,
information
yeah,
coming,
this is April,
and
yeah.
we don't know what will happen in
So,
July.
there was one bill, and who knows where they are at this point, but there was one that guaranteed them $4,000, is that still out there or not?
That was that Senate Bill 6, and it was It depended on if you were like a rural
Size.
school, like that, your enrollment numbers, and I think it depended on the years, it was like 5,000 or 10,000. I don't
That's still out there,
that one
we know?
still
No, I think
floating
that,
around
I think
right
that,
now.
I'm not
I
sure
think
now.
that went by when HB2,
Yeah.
so they included the increase in that, so, I think, but who knows? I don't think they,
And most of those were usually
Class B school,
$5,000
like
raise
that,
over the state minimum, which we were already paying
Yes.
well above that.
Yeah.
So clearly, we're 65 is 6,500, 655, whatever it is, 65, 55, is better, right? That's creates some revenue for us, which makes that.
So the only, the big savings that we have is that one-time savings with the $5 million
Yeah.
in the fiscal year. And that's how we're bringing our proposed budget, or what we're looking at, our estimate, to just above $2 million. Most of it comes from that savings.
but on the other hand, we're at the suggested fund balance, which means it's time to slow down our getting into that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, we still have cuts we need to make, right, obviously.
And if you look what Mrs. Neighbors shared with the blue line, if you go back to that, that is the current market without pay increases for the upcoming year.
And that will shift up.
Yeah, so if you go to like Model 1, and there's where you see it. So with the 3% increase, we would be at the green dotted line, which is what we currently have with that one-time pay increase. So you'll see that still in some of those key years, which your 10-year is a key year, 10 to 15 years, we would still be below with just the one-time pay increase that we have rolling that at 3%, we would still be below the market before they give a pay increase. So that's why maybe considering being a little bit more aggressive, if you go on to like the Model 2 or 3, where you're above, that blue line still hasn't moved up because it's not factoring in any potential pay increases that they may have.
Yeah, that's, unfortunately, we know the blue and the green.
Yeah.
And again, there's still things that will happen in the legislature, and
We still
Yeah.
love to note the fact, you guys have been here for a little while too, that we have come a long way
Yes,
from.
absolutely.
I mean, I think we were in the 40s, high 40s, mid-40s, maybe even when I first got on 11 years ago, so.
when I started teaching, it was in the 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very competitive competition.
12 years ago, at 34 years, I wasn't making that.
No, I never made that much to teach.
Yeah.
So how, you know, we look at our stipends, and they're pretty good, I think.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
So how do we, or how does TASB, or can they analyze that with, okay, the median stipend is for the districts, the 12 districts, right?
Yes.
Is there any way to look at that makes sense to me, which may be
Well,
stretching this for me?
yeah, that's one of the things that I always argue is that if you made that same graph for those secondary science and math teachers, it'd be way above, because our stipend's way above. Special education teachers, it would be above. Our TIA teachers, our 130 TIA teachers, if you put a graph compared to them on there, it would be skyrocket. And so, I agree and understand what you bring up. And these are for these highly competitive, or these hard to find positions to high need. So if we made a graph on these high need positions, it would certainly be well above median.
And
Others, compared to other districts, yeah.
Well, not only that, but we are also on the forefront of teacher incentive allotment too. If you compare us with that and these, I mean.
There's only one other district in this comparison that's doing TIA right now.
And you're starting to see, like, our neighboring districts are starting the process. I want to say Angleton ISD, they're a year out. And so, like, their first payouts would be August 2026, and everything's accrued.
Yeah, we're moving 3 years in at that point, right? 3.5 almost, so.
So on the stipends, when there's like 6 to 12 and 9 to 12, is that just not reported, or they don't have it? Or
either. Most of the time, I would say they probably don't have them. But some districts don't report.
It would be for board information purposes, I guess, nothing more, but it would be interesting to see that
I can pull all
total
of the
count
ones that
in
have
there.
the stipends and what their stipends
Not even,
are.
not even pulling them out and segregating them out, but including them in the total population of total salary
Okay.
per, just to see what that looks like, 'cause blended in, it doesn't have to be, we separate it out, clearly we're gonna be way above the line, that's not good information, but when you factor it in with other normal paid teachers, then does it move the line $200? Does it move it $1,000? You know, I don't know, per 5-year deal. I think it'd just be interesting to see. It's a lot of work, it's not worth the time, but, and then when you factor in teaching silent alignment, that would send up a lot in this.
So, when we go back to the 2024 slide, that shows the total, whatever it cost us, I think it's on the bottom, close, right there.
There?
Yeah, so basically, so this is saying that our 3% payout for last year, or this year, this school year, total, just a little over 3 million, right? Okay. Of which, less than 2/3 was teaching. So, okay.
And you're saying.
So that number's gonna go, so that, our 3.2 million for 6% is gonna fairly go up significantly, okay?
You said it's not gonna be teachers and librarians, it's gonna be teachers and counselors?
That's the language that I read in that, it would be teachers, but our librarians are on the teacher's schedule, so they would be included.
May wanna look at that.
Confirm that, the bill hasn't passed, we will
Yeah, 'cause
confirm all of that.
the attack on libraries is, I think, that may be another way of reducing some of the costs in the libraries, so that concerns me.
All right, any more
Interesting.
questions?
Other questions?
Okay.
Thank you,
All
ma'am.
right.
Oh, plenty of questions.
I don't know if we have plenty to answer.
No.
Next report is the 2024-2025 District Improvement Plan Third Quarter Review. Mr. Ron Redden.
Good evening, everybody. In alignment with Board Policy BQ Local and each district goal, it's my pleasure to deliver the report on the third quarter progress made on the District Improvement Plan. You have a copy of the third quarter formative review in your board book. This graphic illustrates the progress made toward accomplishing intended outcomes during the third quarter. Specifically, 0% were discontinued, 0% were rated as no progress, 0% were rated as some progress. 52% were rated as considerable progress, and 48% were rated as accomplished. I begin my report with highlights from District Goal 1. Literacy specialists continue to monitor the implementation of the early childhood reading and writing curriculum, and to provide training and resources to early childhood teachers by conducting walkthrough observations during individual walks with principals, during scheduled elementary curriculum walks, and by providing training after school and during district-wide professional development days. The curriculum department continued to facilitate the implementation and monitoring of the mathematics curriculum and Tier 1 priorities in kindergarten through third grade using screeners, CBAs, and classroom visits, all while providing targeted training. As part of Performance Objective 3, students are exploring CTE course options for next year that will provide them with hands-on, experiential learning opportunities through real-world settings, such as internships, clinicals, and practical learning experiences to better equip and prepare students upon graduation. Leading up to the STAR test, the district and campuses provided students with support to better prepare them for that testing, which is currently underway. Turning to District Goal 2, to date, the number of students referred for discipline is down by 2.3% compared to last year. Student counts for all discipline codes except teacher discipline, which are level 2 offenses, are down this year by 30.2%. Turning to safety and security, a goal every year is to ensure that all campus crisis team members complete the National Incident Management System, or NIMS, training. The last of the campus crisis management teams received their training during the third quarter. Another goal each year is to ensure that all campuses receive Stop the Bleed training. That too was completed during the third quarter. Finally, elementary principals in partnership with special services are receiving ongoing training in CHAMPS, with follow-up training having been provided in the February PD. For our pre-K teachers, CHAMPS is the elementary school component of Capturing Kids' Hearts, and primarily focuses on providing clear expectations, routines, and procedures to improve classroom management. David, could you advance it for me? Thank you. All strategies under the 3 performance objectives of Goal 3 have been accomplished. In the fall, the Communications Department developed a dedicated web page featuring key information, FAQs, and essential links about legislation and the importance of legislative advocacy for Brazosport ISD. Events and forums followed in visual content that summarized key legislative priorities and their impact on Brazosport ISD were designed and distributed. Moving on to the bond for 2025, next Saturday, voters will vote on the approval of Bond 2025, which will bring to completion all strategies associated with Performance Objective 2. The strategy for Performance Objective 3, which reads through news stories and social media posts, the district will highlight ongoing security training, drills, and events throughout the school year to keep the community informed and demonstrate the district's commitment to safety, was accomplished during the first quarter, when information about the many things being done across the district to support student and staff safety could be found or were found on the Keep BISD Safe page on the district website. There we go. The Technology Department has begun the final activity to bring to completion the District Command Center. The graphical user interface is being built out. A graphical user interface, or GUI, is a visual interface that allows users to interact with a computer using icons, windows, menus, and other graphical elements. It replaces traditional command line interfaces, making computer interaction more intuitive and user-friendly. This is a 3-part project that is expected to be completed at the end of May. As I reported in February, all supplemental funds have been distributed to campuses. Those funds were used to support student learning. A variety of measures will be used to evaluate the impact of that supplemental funds, the impact that the supplemental funds had on student learning outcomes, including those outcomes associated with special programs and populations. Some of those measures include retention rates, percentages of students on track to graduate from high school, graduation rates, and state testing results. The purpose of the district's registered apprenticeship program is to strategically place apprentices within campuses to ensure that candidates receive the appropriate mentorship and support they need to be successful. The HR department is preparing 25-26 residency placements along with any movement for campus positions for next year. HR reported that 5 apprentices enrolled with Western Governors University and 3 enrolled into ACP programs during the third quarter. The HR department is utilizing alternative or local funding to provide a recognition and wellness program to support BISD talent acquisition and retention strategies. And one of those programs has become one of the highlights of the spring semester every year, the BISD baby shower. Every expectant staff member was given a BISD onesie, which, thank you, Brian, for modeling. Did you get 2?
Some got 2.
Yeah, only got 2. You got 2. Good. Good. And so I would assume Brian got 2 of everything I'm about to read off as well. Plush baby toys, sippy cup, books, and other helpful items to support them on their parenting journey. Drawings were held to gift generous donations from local businesses. Last but not least, BISD's participation in the House Bill 3 Reading Academies entered its 4th year this year. Teachers who had not already completed the academies started their journey in the fall, and with the support of the early childhood specialist, are nearing the completion of their modules.
Not any easier, is it? Hadn't gotten any easier?
No. This concludes the report on the third quarter review of the district improvement plan. Since this is a report, no board action is required. And at this time, I'd be happy to answer any clarifying questions you or the audience may have.
Any questions from the board?
I think we should congratulate the Cole family.
I do too.
On the new
It's
one,
awesome.
so.
They're still doing good?
They're still doing good, gaining weight,
Good,
just a few more weeks from coming home eventually.
good, exciting.
So you are catching up on your sleep now?
Yes, I'm doing my best.
I hope they continue to improve.
Yeah.
Any questions from the audience before we move forward?
Oh,
Go ahead.
yeah, you mentioned the command center. I got a little explanation that what the guy's doing, disbanded or some crazy thing like that, the IT
Yeah.
guys or whatever.
JCI's automation team, about it very early on in the project, they didn't mention it to us. We just kept noticing things were getting delayed, we weren't getting equipment, we kept having these weekly meetings with the company that, they're also doing some stuff on the two different sides of the house, basically. They were wrapping up some HVAC stuff, and anyway, dragged on, finally got them to fess up that they didn't have the automation team anymore. Rebecca and I sat down and negotiated with them, how are we gonna get to either, we're gonna have to get a heck of a discount on this project and just cut our losses, or we're gonna have to figure out some way to get this thing finished out. And so we came up with a holdback, and poor Ludy got thrown into all this right when she got here as we were trying to work through all this craziness. But we came up with a holdback, and then we discounted the project to engage a third party to come in and basically finish what they couldn't finish. And so that is going very, very well, and we expect to be done at the end of May. But the third party basically took over in January, and so where we were multiple years trying to beat JCI over the head, and I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't be saying that name so many times in this recorded meeting, but it is what it is. What we were trying to get them to get complete for over 2 years, we finally have another third party that's making very good progress and hopes to be wrapped up very soon.
So fully operational May. Okay. And then just another thing on the goal 4 about, I saw this little thing about where we were spending, giving title money to Our Lady Queen of Peace, and that's because, so the federal government gives it to us, and if the private school requests it, we give it to them.
It's a private nonprofit, and it's always been there with federal programs. And so when we receive the money, we're to take into consideration all students of poverty within a school zone. And so if that school is within that zone, like our Lady Queen of Peace would be in the zone, I guess, for Pole, then if they have students who are poverty students who attend their school, then those students are eligible for the funding that they would otherwise receive if they were at Polk.
So do we get accountability from them, or do they get accountability? So once again, they get federal money with no accountability.
That's true.
Right, but I will add though that in the case of Our Lady Queen of Peace, and I would assume, Ludy, they're probably still doing it now, they typically, the only funding they ever look for is Title II funding because it helps them with professional development.
Title III English learners.
And yes, sometimes with the Title III, that's correct.
There's at least Title II and III,
Yeah. And well, there's Title I, and there are some that can get funding for that. We've had other of our different private nonprofits that have in the past, but it's very, very little because there's so few students that it impacts.
No accountability.
But that's true.
And then we're their administration, we're the ones that administer.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it turns out it looks like it's $15,000, but still, that just kind of jumped out at me in light of what's going on. So.
Yes.
No.
This came up, it's not in, it's in the district improvement, but could you guys give me the numbers of the kids we have enrolled in the Ascend program? I know you don't know it now, but just kind of keep that up from last year.
We did have 65 attend the recent leadership out of the college, but I can get you a total number.
Okay, I quit.
from the audience? All right, thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Next item that we have under our reports is the Student Outcomes Update, Practice State of Texas Assessment of Academic Readiness, also known as STAR. Mr. Brian Cole.
Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy, EH Local and District Goal Brazosport ISD will provide a rigorous and relevant learning experience to ensure that every student will be future ready. It is my pleasure this evening to present a report on the Spring Practice STAR. As we begin to look at our results, I want to start by explaining the purpose of the Practice STAR. Our Practice STAR provides a snapshot of learning for the entire scope of the curriculum within a particular subject. It allows campuses the data that is needed to adjust instruction prior to STAR for both individuals and groups of students. It also allows campuses to rehearse the complexity of administering the STAR exam, as well as figuring out small groups, accommodations, and classroom processes and procedures. This year, we continue with STAR 2.0. The test includes new item types for a quarter of the assessment, as it did last year. And then there's also writing on all of the reading language arts assessments. We'll pause briefly for a refresher on the various STAR performance levels and what they mean, as established by the Texas Education Agency. Ultimately, the state uses them to predict a student's success in a future school year. A student that performs at the did not meet level is unlikely to succeed in the next grade or course without significant ongoing academic intervention. While a student who achieves the approaches performance level is likely to succeed in the next grade course with targeted academic intervention. This is the minimum passing threshold. At the meets level, students have a high likelihood of success in the next grade or course, but may still need some short-term targeted academic intervention. And at the master's level, a student is expected to succeed in the next grade level or course with little to no academic intervention. We'll start with reading language arts. Let me take a minute to describe how the table is set up. There are three different performance levels for the STAR test as previously described. The passing threshold is referred to as approaches, and it is in purple. Then, the state of Texas has established two additional performance levels. These are the meets level, which is in blue, and the master's level, which is in an orange or yellow. Outlined in red on this slide, you will see that I have provided the Practice STAR results from 2 years ago, from last year, and from the current school year. The final column shows the difference between this year and last year. Any changes of more than about 5 percentage points are highlighted. You will see that we are seeing an expected increase in our English 1 scores after last year's decline due to changes in our freshman English courses and sequences related to remediation. We are also seeing an anticipated decrease at the sophomore level as those students move up. Some of our key takeaways from reading language arts at the elementary level, students are showing a solid foundation for writing skills, which allows teachers to focus on high-level skills needed for the higher end of scoring on their extended constructed responses or essays. At the secondary level, as we look to score the essays, teachers were trained to score like the new automated scoring system used by the state. For that reason, we do see that our scores are landing at the extreme ends of writing. We see students either scoring quite strong or needing significant improvement. As we continue to support teachers in both reading and writing instruction, our focus has shifted from whole class instruction to small group instruction and one-on-one conferencing during independent practice in reading and writing to ensure that all students have continued to grow prior to the STAR and throughout the rest of the school year. We'll dive a little bit deeper in the third grade results, since our student outcome goals are centered around the performance of third grade students in math and reading. So we'll take a deeper dive into this campus level at this time. The campus level data for all the STAR tested subjects was available and shared in the board report last Friday. You can see that as a district, our overall performance at the meets level is substantially higher at 42% than in 2023, which was 2 years ago, while it's 5 percentage points lower than 2024. We saw declines of 20 percentage points or more were seen at Austin Elementary, Griffith Elementary, and Polk Elementary. Both campus administrators and district teams have actively supported those campuses with drops to help close the gaps prior to the STAR test and throughout the rest of the year. The district has been led this year by Boydell, Brandon, and Roberts, and as always, we do anticipate the STAR scores being significantly higher, as is the trend over the past several years. As we move to math, we see similar dips in scores for third grade students in math this year. Polk, Brandon, and Lanier led the district in math, while Boydell, Austin, and Griffith saw the lowest scores with declines. Please keep in mind that this is at the meets performance level, which is a step above the minimum passing threshold for the STAR test, and we do generally see performance substantially increased by the actual STAR exam. We'll move back to a broader approach to look at the data. We've already begun to look at math, but now we can take a look at the data across multiple grade levels. In math, our scores are relatively steady for the practice STAR, aside from third grade scores that were mentioned in the previous slide. At the Algebra 1 level, we're seeing declines that are largely due to our students at the intermediate level, although we do anticipate them to pop up by the time STAR comes. As we look at our takeaways at the elementary level, we are seeing that instruction that includes both paper, pencil, and computer-based instruction translates to better performance on the practice STAR than instruction that is mainly paper-based. So by the time the students are taking a test that's on a computer, if they haven't practiced on a computer, it becomes very difficult for them to perform at highest levels if they've only practiced on pencil paper. The exposure to this technology simply helps students perform better as they are more accustomed to working the math problems with a computer in front of them. At the secondary level, the most impactful instruction for 5th grade through Algebra 1 is centered on pulling more small groups and differentiating instruction to address the different low-performing standards that various students may have in the class. Classrooms are also working on the transferability of skills that allow students to apply the content that they've learned in multiple contexts. As we look at the table for science, we see strong increases in biology. This is also expected after last year's changes in sequences for freshman courses related to some remediation. It is also important to note that the TEKS, or the standards, for science this year are new. Brand new standards, brand new resources in science, and thus this test is our best approximation of what will be assessed. In social studies, performance remains relatively stable in 8th grade and United States history. As we take a look at our key takeaways within science, our scores are influenced by those introduction of the new standards for the 2024-25 school year and new resources. Our primary focus is to align with these updated standards and create foundational learning experiences through phenomenon or anchoring experiences that all students get to see at the beginning of different lesson cycles, and fostering critical thinking skills within our students in science. Our scores in social studies are impacted by the continuation of new question types, both within the mock and the actual STAR, and this is being addressed by our campus content teams and our teachers, and in our STAR review as we focus really on vocabulary instruction and the importance of it within social studies, as well as the use of stimuli, being able to analyze primary sources and other documents and critically think related to those. So now let's take a look at a little bit about our next steps. After we administer the practice STAR and get STAR results each year, we take a look at the scope and sequence for each of our courses. We work with teams of teachers and determine if we need to make any tweaks or changes to how much time we spend on something or the order in which we cover something. We do need to continue to focus on writing across all grade levels and content areas. This means placing an additional emphasis on professional learning as it relates to writing, as well as ensuring that we continue to monitor our writing measures that take place on our assessment calendars throughout the year. We must continue to plan to ensure that our elementary teachers are implementing the in-depth training that they've received through the science of teaching reading, and we'll continue to monitor closely how students are performing and adjust to provide targeted areas of support while celebrating the successes that we see with so many teachers and so many students in our classrooms across the district. And of course, we'll definitely reassess where we are after we see official STAR results in the summer. We look forward to being able to see how our students are performing compared to students across the state and celebrating successes. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. This report is report only and no action is needed.
Remind me, Brian, when will these practice stars given?
We have a window that begins in February or middle of February for our Reading Language Arts Star, and then generally speaking, most of our students for the three other subjects are finished either right before spring break or slightly after spring break. And then we have a few, it gives time for about 4 to 5 weeks between the star, the practice star, and the actual star for a review and reassessment after that.
Other questions? Any questions from the audience? All right. Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Thank you.
Next on our reports, are there any board committee reports from our board members? All right, hearing none then, our next regular scheduled work session is May 19th, 2025, right here at 6 p.m. Next thing we have is executive session. Executive session may be called for the purposes permitted by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Sections 551.001 through 551.146, Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, Sections 551.72 for the purpose of discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, Sections 551.074, personnel matters, appointment, employment, evaluation, assignment duties, discipline, dismissal, or complaint, Sections 551.082 for the purpose of considering discipline of a public school child or a complaint or charge against personnel. We shall return shortly.
Also, we have employee recognition Wednesday night.
Yes.
We also have the, what is the group that graduates at Dow Academic Center?
The transition group, from the transition group graduation at Dow Academic Center, it's at the Dow Diamond Center.
Dow Diamond Center,
Yeah.
Project Search.
Search, thank you, Project Search.